The French Revolution, a story of transformation and conflict. In 1789, France was a nation marked by stark contrasts. While the royal palaces gleamed with their extravagant lifestyles, the peasants in villages on the outskirts of cities suffered in extreme poverty. The monarchy, represented by King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette, was seen as a symbol of oppression and helplessness. In this tumultuous context, revolution was about to explode, bringing profound changes not only to France, but to the entire world. Early context: a kingdom in crisis. At the end of the 18th century, France was divided into three estates: the clergy, the nobility, and the treasury. The clergy, made up of priests and members of the Catholic Church, enjoyed tax privileges and considerable social power. The nobility also were exempt from many taxes and controlled vast territories. In contrast, the treasury, which included peasants and bourgeois, bore most of the economic burdens, including high taxes. France's economic crisis was exacerbated by the exorbitant expenses of the royal court, and the peasants were fed up with discontent. Failed crops and rampant inflation brought suffering, and hunger spread. In cities, people were exhausted by a lack of resources and hard work, and the revolutionary spirit began to take hold. Enlightenment, ideas, and the rise of social consciousness. In this atmosphere, Enlightenment ideas began to gain momentum. Philosophers such as Voltaire, Rousseau, and Montesquieu advocated for human rights, equality, and reason. Rousseau, in particular, promoted the idea of a social contract where legitimate power comes from the will of the people. These ideas inspired many, generating a sense of dissatisfaction with the monarchical regime and a desire to change the social order. Secret gatherings in bourgeois salons and noble houses allowed these revolutionary ideas to circulate, and heated debates were frequent. The new principles of liberty and equality resonated among the people, and the revolt against oppression began to take concrete shape. The convening of the Estates General, faced with the economic crisis, King Louis XVI convened the Estates General in May 1789, an assembly to address the kingdom's financial problems. This was the first meeting of the three estates since 1614. The clergy and nobility expected to maintain control, but the representatives of the treasury decided to unite and form the National Assembly, proclaiming their right to represent the people. This decision was a crucial moment, marking the beginning of a revolution. The National Assembly began drafting reforms to improve the living conditions of the peasants and limit royal power. On June 20, 1789, the representatives of the Treasury swore the Tennis Court Oath, vowing not to disband until they had given France a constitution. The storming of the Bastille. On July 14, 1789, the situation reached a critical point. A furious crowd attacked the Bastille, a fortress symbolizing royal oppression. It was not just a prison, but a symbol of the monarch's absolute power. Armed with fury and determination, the people fought against the royal guard, eventually taking control of the Bastille. The storming of the Bastille was a symbolic act of rebellion, and was met with enthusiasm by supporters of the revolution. The Bastille was destroyed, and the crowd celebrated the victory. This event marked the beginning of the French Revolution and became a symbol of the fight against despotism, the declaration of the rights of man and citizen. On August 26, 1789, the National Assembly adopted the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen, a document enshrining the fundamental principles of the revolution. This declaration laid out universal rights, including freedom of speech, the right to property, and equality before the law. The words liberty, equality, fraternity became the motto of the revolution and inspired entire generations. The declaration was seen as an act of rebellion against the monarchy, and the royal regime felt threatened. In this context, the king and his family were forced to retreat from the palace at Versailles and move to Paris, where the population could more closely monitor them. The revolt in Paris and social tensions. Throughout 1789, popular revolt grew. In Paris, hunger and economic instability led to violent demonstrations, and the crowd began demanding deeper reforms. Events culminated in the Great Fear of the summer of 1789, a widespread panic among peasants who believed the nobles were planning revenge. Peasants began attacking the estates of the nobility, destroying documents and seizing resources. In this climate of fear and uncertainty, the National Assembly began taking drastic measures. On August 4, 1789, the nobility were forced to give up their feudal privileges, marking a crucial moment in French history: the establishment of the Paris Commune. During these events, the Paris Commune was established, led by a revolutionary committee. Among its members was Georges Danton, a charismatic orator and leader of the revolutionaries. Danton was a key figure in mobilizing the masses and creating a favorable climate for the revolution. On the other hand, Jean-Paul Marat, another revolutionary leader, used his newspaper, L'Ami du Peuple, to incite revolt and expose the corruption of the regime. The execution of King Louis XVI. As the revolution progressed, the conflict with the royal regime escalated. Louis XVI was accused of treason and put on trial. This was a pivotal moment, and the verdict was tragic. On January 21, 1793, the king was executed by guillotine in a public square. This execution marked the end of the monarchy and the beginning of a new republican era. The crowd reacted with a mix of jubilation and fear, knowing that a dangerous precedent had been set. The Reign of Terror, an era of fear and executions. After the king's execution, France entered a period of terror. Between 1793 and 1794, under the leadership of Maximilien Robespierre, the Committee of Public Safety instituted extreme measures to eliminate any opposition. The trial of Danton, a former ally of Robespierre, led to his execution, demonstrating how quickly friendship could turn to enmity. The guillotine became the symbol of this dark period. Every week, hundreds of people were executed, accused of treason or activities contrary to the revolution. An atmosphere of fear and mistrust gripped the entire nation, and people feared expressing their opinions. The fall of Robespierre and the restoration of order. In the summer of 1794, Robespierre was accused of dictatorship, and on July 27, 1794, he was arrested and executed. His death marked the end of the Reign of Terror and the beginning of a new period of instability known as the Directory. This period was characterized by continued political instability and a struggle for power between different factions. The rise of Napoleon Bonaparte. In this context of instability, a young general, Napoleon Bonaparte, began to gain influence. After achieving victory in military campaigns, Napoleon carried out a coup d'état in 1799, ending the Directory. He established the consulate, becoming the first consul, and eventually proclaimed himself Emperor of France in 1804. The legacy of the Revolution. The French Revolution left a deep mark on France and the world. The principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity inspired social and political movements worldwide. It also generated a sense of nationalism that shaped future revolutionary movements. The impact of the revolution is still felt today. In the face of contemporary challenges, the lessons learned from this revolution remain relevant, reminding us that change is possible when people unite to reclaim their rights.